Well, I was planning to be a pediatrician when I was a young man and have no expectations of being involved with pregnant women. But in my early days of training, I was invited to take part, or indeed to run, a trial of the treatment of high blood pressure in pregnancy, being told by the people in the Department of Medicine that this was the nearest I was going to get to children until I graduated onwards into pediatrics. So I started this trial, and during the course of it I was asked to see women with pre-eclampsia to help control their blood pressure. It was not my research, but it was clinically imperative. To cut a long story short, I became extremely puzzled by what was going on, distressed by the lack of interest that my colleagues showed in the problem, and also disappointed by the lack of knowledge that I found in the world literature. So I gradually shifted my focus towards pre-eclampsia, was lucky enough to get a tenured job in Oxford, which allowed me to pursue that interest, and that's what set me on my way. So I developed a high-risk service focused on pre-eclampsia, which is still active today, called the Silver Star Service, and met many women with the severest problems, some coming long distances for their care, because at that stage very little was supplied to meet their needs in the whole of the UK. And it was in that way that I met Isabel Williams, who rang me up as a journalist wanting to be briefed about pre-eclampsia for a publication that she was planning. At the end of which she informed me that she herself was a sufferer. We then had further discussions subsequently, one of which she asked if she could come and have a medical review, which she did, as a result of which she planned to have her child in Oxford. All went well with her next two children, having lost her first. She and her husband Andy described their experience at Oxford very glowingly, saying it was like moving from black and white television to Technicolor, so much more appropriate it was to their needs. Every year in the Silver Star we had a celebratory dinner for people interested in that service, and at one of those dinners Izzy and I discovered that we were thinking on parallel tracks, namely that we could write a book together for sufferers. At that stage, sufferers were women in general. Pregnant women were not briefed about pre-eclampsia, and at the end of an attack really were very confused about what had happened, and there was no follow-up available outside of Oxford and a few other centres to answer their questions, address their worries, explain and explain again, and provide reassurance that in most instances a further pregnancy would not only be sensible, but would be likely to be a very happy event. So we planned this book and wrote it together, Pre-eclampsia, the Facts. She was a marvellous co-author. I would hand her yards of very turgid technical prose, which she would turn into the most elegant and easy to read text appropriate for women, and it was very popular. And at the same time we agreed that we could found a charity to be the, if you like, the real-time version of the book, to meet up and provide, through meetings and so on, assurances to sufferers, training to midwives and doctors, and so on. And that was the way that APEC was born. It was also a hugely enjoyable time for me, because working with Izzy was so enjoyable. She was so businesslike, so thoughtful, so caring, and so effective that she really did get the charity running very smoothly and very successfully. things move on, and she moved on to other activities, and I've remained in touch with APEC as its clinical director until quite recently, and I'm absolutely delighted to see that it is going from strength to strength and still sticking to its basic mission, which was to disseminate knowledge and make everybody aware, sufferers particularly, of what this condition